Hey guys, today we're going to be learning about living and non-living organisms. This lesson could be for first and second grade classrooms, even for third grade as a review, that's fine too. So today we're going to be focusing on living and non-living organisms, what are their differences, what makes something living, and what makes something non-living. So, living and non-living organisms. Let's go dive into this and let's begin. Living and non-living organisms. Okay, perfect. Let's start with this. Living organisms and non-living organisms. We see them all around us, living and non-living things in our everyday lives. So everything is either living or non-living. So, what makes something living or non-living? Right? You're asking yourselves, what's living, what's non-living? Living and non-living, they kind of sound similar. They both have living in it. So what makes something living and non-living? Let's take a look. Let's dive into this more. And we're going to go into this a little bit more. Okay. Living organisms and non-living organisms. We are surrounded by living and non-living organisms. As we said, everything around is either living or non-living. So, living things. People are living, right? We see people all the time, right? So I'm a living being. I'm a person, right? A cat playing with a ball is living. We see a cat on a daily basis, or, we have a cat at home. Playing with a ball is living. So it's alive. So a cat playing with a ball is living. What makes it living by playing with a ball? Let's take a look. We have seven characteristics that makes a living thing. So, what are these 7 characteristics, you ask? Let's take a look right now. First one is movement. All living things have movement. An example of movement is a monkey running from one place to another. I find that quite funny because I'm just picturing right now a monkey just going back and forth, running, pacing back and forth. Another type of movement could be walking or swimming, or my favorite, dancing. Dancing right now, I'm moving. I'm a living thing, I'm dancing. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm dancing, I'm moving my arms. I'm excited about this lesson, so I feel like dancing. Okay, so hopefully that got your attention. And that's an example you're visibly seeing that movement. Moving your body, living thing. Now, that's one aspect. What's the second aspect? Let's go into that right now. Okay, growing. All living things grow. An example is when babies grow up to be big like their parents. So that's a great example. Another great example that I'm more familiar with when I was your age is a plant growing, right? We grow plants. So we have a seed, we need certain aspects like water and soil in order for the plant to grow into this big, beautiful flower. It starts as a little seed, little tiny seed, and then it grows into this beautiful, big flower. Okay, so that's a great example of growing. Now, let's go into the third aspect. Feeding or eating, which we all love to do, which we are doing all the time. All living things obtain food from their environment. An example is a panda feeding off the leaves from trees. My favorite animal, by the way, is a panda, which is a great example. A panda feeding off the leaves from trees. So, that's a living thing. Maybe another living thing could be like us eating pizza or us eating fruits or vegetables that are very healthy for us, which we should all be eating more, but we don't want to because we're like, ew to fruits and vegetables. We don't want to have them, but we should have them because they're healthy for us. So feeding or eating, that makes us, fruits or vegetables makes us healthy and they're good for us, but we don't like to eat them all the time. But we should. We really should. So feeding or eating is another great example of something that's living. We all need to eat to survive. Let's go on to the next aspect. Okay, reproduce. All living things reproduce or have offspring. An example of reproduction is dog and her puppies, or another example could be a cat and her kittens. Let's go on to the fifth aspect. Okay, breathing or respiration. Respiration, boys and girls, is another meaning for breathing. taking air in our noses and our mouths, right? When we're taking in air. All living things take in air from their environment in order to survive. An example, a man has to breathe while he runs a race. Or when we're running, we have to take a breath, because then if we don't, we're like, we fall, it wouldn't be a good thing, right? We'd be running out of breath, we would faint or something. So it's very important that we always breathe through our nose, and we're always breathing, because we need breathing to survive. Okay, now, excretion. What is excretion? So, let's look into excretion. All living things get rid of their waste. So excretion is getting rid of things, getting rid of waste. So for example, we all eat food, right? And then when we eat food, after a while, we digest it. When it goes through our bodies, we have to get rid of it, and we have to use the restroom. So we're getting rid of all the waste out of our body, excretion. Now, the final characteristic of something being living is sensitivity, but in another sense that I like to call it is the five senses. The five senses. All living things are aware of their surroundings. We see, we smell, hear, use our ears to hear, taste, and feel. Okay, so our five senses, we smell food, or we see a car outside, we hear the car outside beeping, we taste like a cookie or something. When we feel, like I'm clapping my hands, I feel my hands. Okay, so these are great examples of the five senses. So, let's talk a little bit more about living and non-living things. Sometimes objects can seem living because they have one or more characteristics of living things. So, for example, we see a boat in this picture, and boats move, right? We all know that boats move. We've seen a boat, and we've seen it move. But it's not living. Why is it not living? Because it doesn't breathe, it doesn't eat, it doesn't reproduce, it doesn't breathe, doesn't eat, doesn't reproduce. It moves, but it doesn't have all 7 characteristics. It doesn't have the 5 senses. I mean, we can see it, but we can't smell. I mean, we can smell a little bit, but it doesn't have all the characteristics as a living thing. So, let's go more into non-living organisms, okay? If an object doesn't have all 7 characteristics of living things, then it's not living. So our 7 characteristics is movement, growing, eating, reproduction, breathing, excretion, and the 5 senses. So if it doesn't have all 7, it's not living. It's not alive. It's not alive. So, we're looking, a flower is living or non-living. So, flowers grow, right? Flowers eat, right? Water, they need water and soil. So technically, they are living things because they take on their living things. They need water they need water to survive. They need soil. They need certain things to survive. A flower is living. It obtains water and soil and life from the environment. A new flower comes from seeds from a grown flower. So, flower is a living thing. Is a bike living or non-living? So, a bike is non-living. It moves, but it does not eat, or reproduce, or even grow. We've never ever seen a bike eat before, or reproduce, or even grow. So, this is a non-living thing. It moves, but it doesn't have all the characteristics. So, okay, now, is a baby living or non-living? Baby is like a human, right? A person, right? So it is living. They eat, use the bathroom, grow, and eventually have their own babies when they grow up, right? So, I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson, because I certainly enjoyed teaching you guys about it. So, living and non-living organisms, they have to have the 7 characteristics. So, can we name them? I'll help you along the way, so we can remember this, guys. Growing, grow. Well, movement is the first one. Grow, feed or eat. Excretion. What else am I missing? Excretion, breathing or respiration, the 5 senses. And what else am I missing? We have movement. We have movement, growing, eating, reproducing, breathing, excretion, and our five senses, remember? They're aware of our surroundings. So, and non-living things doesn't have all these characteristics. They have one or two of these characters, like boat moving or a bike just moving too. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I hope you learned a lot about living and non-living organisms. Till next time, guys, have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to my lesson and hope to see you next time. Bye now.